From the News Channel 5 Network and Out and About newspaper, this is Out and About Today. Sponsored by the Tennessee Performing Arts Center.
Welcome to Out and About Today. I'm Pam Wheeler. On tonight's show, Brent will share new GSA research findings from the Peabody College. And later in the Entertainment Outlook, Chuck will give us a look at Studio 10's new season. But now we open the show with our regular Buzz About segment. I'm joined by my co-hosts, Chuck and Brent, and we will jump right into our first hot summer topic.
Okay.
Hot summer topic, guys.
Hot.
So let's first talk about, you all probably didn't know, and our viewers may not know, so we want to tell them, there's a Murfreesboro Pride.
I didn't. You know how I found out about it? I was doing open line the other night here at Channel 5, and somebody called in, and the topic we were talking about, welcoming and affirming churches, and she said, well, I just wanted to let you know that Murfreesboro is having Pride. And I was like, really? And so anyway, she really gave a great, speech about it and talked about how excited they were.
So you learned something on the news.
I learned on the news while we were doing it.
Well, I actually had seen it on Facebook. There was a Facebook event page that had been created, and it was kind of a surprise to me too, because I hadn't heard from anybody directly about it. And then when I noticed that sort of TEP was behind it, I was like, oh, well, this is great. And I shared it on the show's page, but it was kind of a news to me too.
I know it's August 28th at the Square. I just was surprised. You can get into the whole, well, why don't you just all come on down to Nashville Pride? I'm not saying that you should, but...
Well, I think it's interesting. It reminded me a little bit, or reminds me a little bit of like when Dwayne's on and we talk about Black Pride. It's
Right.
like having a Black Pride doesn't mean that you also can't have a regular Pride, and having a Murfreesboro Pride doesn't mean that it's any less effective for, a Nashville Pride.
Sure.
But I think it's neat in the fact that it's happening in Murfreesboro, which is, kind of a little further out from the city center, but it's also a growing city, and it's nice to have that support there. They had their own vigil, too, after the Orlando shooting.
Right. Right.
The only thing that I wondered is, since we just had ours at the end of June, I would have just thought it might be weather-wise nicer to go into October or something, just where it was a little bit
That's a good
cooler.
point.
Follow the lead that some of the other cities
Yeah, some of the other
doing,
cities. I just thought
Right.
October would be a nice month too.
Maybe we'll talk about it in September.
Okay.
So the next topic, we have two more topics. Perhaps you all are going to be able to give blood coming up. So at the end of last year there was a change. The FDA came out and said you should be able to take gay men blood. If you've said that you've had sex with a man, then you can wait a year and give blood. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And so after the Orlando, I think what's prompted a new discussion is after the Orlando shooting, and so many gay men want to step up and help in their
Right.
community, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So I guess I want to take it back and see, what do you all think about it? And have you been prone to lying about your status to be able to give blood over the years?
Do you want me to start?
Yeah.
Well, I remember doing a segment about this not terribly long ago with the local Red Cross here, and it was surprising to a lot of people, because they first of all didn't even know that was the situation. They'd gone to give blood, and they said they still have instances where people come to give blood, and then they are shocked to find out they can't. So I think it's nice that they have. Have I lied? Maybe. So that I could. I knew that I was okay. I'd get regularly tested, but I can see where it really is more of a social statement, in the sense that anybody else could be infected just as well and
That's
could have
right.
had something done, and it really to single them out or single us out.
And we talk about we just had a segment about the biggest growing HIV infected group, and it's not gay men.
Exactly.
So, Chuck, what's been your experience?
When that was in place, I resented it so much that I wouldn't give blood, because I was like, if I just wouldn't go give blood, because I did go that one time, the first time that I tried, and realized when they asked, if you had sex with men, I was like, okay, that's insulting that you're asking this on the form. So I just, for principle, I was like, if you're going to discriminate against me, then I'm not giving blood.
Right.
Well, and people go back to they say that the reason that it was instituted was back during the initial AIDS crisis, when people didn't know anything about anything, which I can understand, but we've come a long way
Right.
since then, and I think by now it's about time that they've loosened those rules.
Yeah, yeah. And I think too, it's fine. I mean, if you think you're high risk, then you shouldn't be giving blood. I mean,
Right.
nobody should be giving blood
That's
in a
right.
high risk category. And I think that if you feel that you're not and you're in a low risk category, give blood, whoever you are.
Right. Okay, stay tuned on that. So here's the really juicy topic we're going to talk about. I found a little opinion piece on the HuffPost, and It's from a therapist who, in general, he's making these in general statements of the differences between gay male relationships, and now we have 2 minutes, just so you know,
Okay.
and straight relationships. It's all in fun, but it's based on his career-long experience doing couples counseling and seeing the differences. So I've asked you all to take a look. There's 10 categories on, there's money and sex and
Yeah, it went on for a
household
long time.
chores.
Yeah, I had to read a lot on this one.
So just speak to a topic yourself and how you see the differences playing out.
Sure. Well, first of all, I want to thank you for picking a topic that she is completely does not have to comment on
Hey,
at
I
all.
got gay friends. I got gay friends.
So she totally put us on the spot.
Completely.
But I thought it was interesting. A lot of this stuff rang true, but ultimately the ones that sort of stuck out to me were the money and the household chores, because on both counts it said, it's not a competition. You shouldn't have to sort of compete for different things. Whoever makes the most money. It should be a shared effort. And having gone to counseling before as a couple, that was one of the things that I remember that stuck with me. It's not a competition. And so we had made these efforts to sort of sit down and divide up the bills and have responsibilities that each of us were responsible for, as well as the chores. So I mean, I could relate to that part. Some of the other things I thought were a little bit much. Like, I don't have kids, so I couldn't relate to that. But a lot of it made sense.
We only have a minute.
Oh, go ahead, Chuck.
Just real fast, I will say the family topic caught my eye because a lot of times people, if you're in a gay relationship and you go home to family and you think, oh, my family's accepting, but I was reading through this and they said, but there's always one homophobe in the family.
I know.
And I was like, you know what? I've got that in my family.
Yeah.
And I know, Tom has that, in his family. Even though they're accepting, you find that. And I was like, that's something that you forget about having to deal with, even if the overall family is totally accepting.
Right.
Because other, straight couple doesn't have to deal with that.
Right.
They just.
And we're almost out of time. I just want to bring one that I found just really resonated in my group of friends, and the category is fun. One huge consistent benefit I have observed in gay male relationships over straight ones is that gay couples consistently demonstrate a youthfulness, playfulness, and sense of fun, especially with peers, but also alone with each other. Okay, we gotta go. Don't go away when we come back.
I would agree to that.
We'll learn why GSAs help more folks than you think. Stay with us.
Out and About Today, sponsored by the Tennessee Performing Arts Center.